Hi everyone, welcome back to another video of morning makeup where I get ready using one palette and give you 5 looks. Today we're kind of going back to basics and doing the new Naked Reloaded palette. It's a really pretty palette. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about it, and I've seen some people love it, some people are like, whatever. I'm kind of in the middle. I think it's really pretty. It has a lot of beautiful colors. I don't think it's like the first Naked palette, but I never had that palette. I never jumped on the Naked bandwagon until Naked 2. I did get Naked 2 when it came out, and it was not a favorite of mine. You can see, I did use it, but not a whole lot. My absolute favorite Naked palette was Naked 3. I loved it. Oh, they just fell out. I always loved it and have used it a ton. I really like the warm pinky rose gold colors. So Naked Reloaded is nice in that way. It has some of those colors. And I hear it's a lot like one of the Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes, but I don't have that one, so I don't know. What I did though, I posted on Instagram a look the other day, and someone asked me what kind of brushes I was using and how I use them. And I think in a way with these videos, I kind of assume that's something you might already know how to use. But if you don't, I did wanted to kind of do a back to basics with this video. I think something like this, it doesn't matter what palette it is, any neutral palette you might have, you can kind of do some really nice, pretty basic looks, especially if you're not into doing a lot of colorful makeup, or you just want something quick and easy, or you don't normally use brushes and that kind of thing. So real quick, I'm just going to kind of go over what I do for my makeup, and I will talk over my applying this look today. So I changed what I was going to do. I was going to do definitely a more heavier makeup look today, try to get something more bold out of the palette, but because I kind of changed the idea of what I was doing, I went pretty simple, although I couldn't resist having a little bit of fun. I take a large flat brush, something like this, and this is how I either apply a base color or I angle under my eyebrows for that highlight. I don't always do that right away, so for this look I did not, but sometimes I do start with this. Or I start with some sort of big fluffy blending brush. Something like this. I have no idea what it is. I think it's a BH Cosmetics, but I don't know the number. It's rubbed off. Or this is from Sephora. It's an angled shadow brush. And what I do is I take my my kind of blending color, and I just blend up here above my crease. And so you'll see me doing that, and I just blend above my crease till I get a nice diffused look. And then I take something like either of these two brushes. Right now this one is really my favorite. It's another BH Cosmetics. It's just a small fluffy brush, but it's perfect for blending into the crease. So then I take whatever my third color is, and usually that's the deepest color, and I just do little circles in my crease, blending into the transition color that I had already applied. This brush also works, but it's a little big, so I'll get a kind of a more larger area. I like this one because you can really pinpoint it, and I'll even take this, even though it's fluffy, and I'll kind of diffuse under my eye. And then I kind of decide which color I want on my eyelid, and sometimes it's one color, sometimes it's a few colors, sometimes I do concealer and cover with that, sometimes I use Fix Plus, especially if the color I'm using is really glittery. This just helps it stick, but I will also use a concealer like the Tarte Marijuka Creaseless Concealer to kind of put on to help it stick. So for today, I did the Fix Plus with Dreamweaver in the palette, which is a very kind of shimmery, glittery shade, and it does have a lot of fallout. So I wanted something that would kind of make everything stick. And I use more of a flat shadow brush. Okay, this one's dirty. I need to clean it. This is perfect because it's really flat and dense, and it just kind of packs on the color. Today I ended up using this one because this one has green on it and I didn't have time to clean. But I did the same concept and it worked fine. Just kind of packed it on. For this look, I packed on both sides of my eye, and just to give it kind of a more dimensional color. And then using the other side of my brush or another flat brush, I did the same thing but with a lighter shade, this time Angel Fire, and just put it in the center to give a little highlight. Even though this is a pretty neutral look, or what I would consider a neutral look, I wanted to have a little more fun with it. So sometimes then I will take an angled brush or a pencil brush. You might hear me refer it to a pencil brush or a smudge brush. I can't find my, oh, there it is. Any of these, an angled brush, a smudging brush. This is Sephora, just called Smudge, or a pencil brush. I have no idea where I got this. I think it's Sephora too. And I'll take the color and put it under here, kind of just diffuse it out or pinpoint it, depending on what I'm doing. And then I finish it off lining my eye. Sometimes I line with the smudging brushes, the pencil brush, and I just take it and kind of just smudge it along here and press the shadow into the lash line. But more often than not, I do use a lining brush. This is not one of my favorites. This is from Too Faced. It's called Sex Kitten. It works great, but I've noticed the older I get, the more delicate and wrinkly my eyes are getting. I really need something with a brush and not a felt tip, and this is a felt tip. My Kat Von D, which is my ultimate favorite, ran out, so I've been forced to be using this, and you'll see it kind of pulls at my eye, and there's like this little, it's not noticeable, you can't see it, but this wrinkle that always gets caught, and it takes a little extra work to fill in. And so I just line. I do like a little winged liner, and today just put mascara. One of the tricks I use for mascara is I do wiggle along the lash and then pull up, wiggle, pull, and just lightly go down on the corner of my bottom lashes. And that's just my basic look every day. So you'll see the rest of my looks for this week kind of follow all the same pattern. I try to be inventive and I will do other things, but if I'm going for my formula, that's my formula. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the videos and I will chat with you after. Okay, so on my first day this week, I do start out with just this light color called Bribe under the eyebrows and kind of blending over the upper eye space, as I talked about in the intro. And then I go ahead with my transition shade. I used Bucked. And you can see I'm using my favorite brush and just blending, diffusing the color, making it kind of light above the crease, going a little bit into the crease this time, just giving it really what it's supposed to be, which is a transition shade. And next then, I kind of went backwards today, so I don't always do it the same, but the kind of formula is the same. So I used Reputation and that flat brush that I love and just patted it all over the eyelid this time. I didn't spray it or anything. I just wanted to see how it worked. And then I went in with Endgame, which is a matte brown color, the darkest shade in the palette, and did my crease. And you're going to see kind of what I do, and I didn't really show in my intro, is I then just go back and forth between the colors I used and blend and pack on and add as I see fit to kind of make sure I get an overall look that I like. It really doesn't take me that much longer. I don't always dip back into the palette, but sometimes I do. And just kind of going and refining my look so it all kind of fits together nicely. And I guess I forgot to take an end picture of that one. Okay, day 2. This time I am starting with Boundaries. It's a bit more warm than Bucked, which is what I used in day 1 for my transition color. And interestingly enough, there's 3 colors in this palette where they give you more product. There's Blur and Bribe, which are pretty light colors, and then Boundaries, which is what I'm using today. It is more warm, but what I do is I just, like I said, I use it as a transition, just putting enough on to give me some color, give me a start, and if I want to, I can always go back in and add more. And then I went into Barely Baked. It's another of a shimmery shade, not too glittery, but it has a good shimmer to it, a good shine. And just putting it all over my lid. I like how it's a gold, but it's kind of a simple gold. It's not very in your face, but it's still pretty, and definitely you can make more bold if you put more on. And then I used Bucked as my crease color. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble talking. Which is what I used as my transition color for the previous look. So I like to play, see how they look depending on where I put them. And I did like Bucked. It's a little bit light, I think, for in the crease. And it's definitely on the cooler side. And so I don't know how I really felt with the two like this, but it was fine. It worked. I then decided to go ahead and deepen up kind of the outer V a little bit more. So I went with Endgame, the matte brown color that I used in day one, and tried to just kind of concentrate in the outer V, kind of up into the crease, but not going all the way, blending it more to give me a smoky eye look. And then you're going to see I'm going to add a little bit more Barely Baked because, you know, it kind of got brushed away a bit when I was doing my deepening of the crease. But then I also used Distilled, which is another kind of shimmery shade, and put it over that matte outer V color just because I wanted a little more shine. And this is my day 2 look. Okay, so day 3, I'm trying to see how Blur works. It's one of the larger colors in the palette. It's a light creamy peach color. Sometimes these types of colors do have more payoff on my skin tone, and sometimes they don't. Really kind of what I thought after using this was I'm just kicking up a lot of dust. It's great for a highlight. It might be great just to have a nice even skin tone, but it wasn't really doing anything. So I then went ahead with Barely Baked, the gold shimmery color, and wanted to see what it would look like lightly under my eyebrow just to add some shine and highlight. And then decided to use Retro, one of the colors I was super excited about in this palette. It's a beautiful matte peach color. You can see I'm using a different brush because I wanted more of a concentrated look. I wanted more color payoff. I didn't want to use my big kind of blending brush that I would normally use for transition. And then I went in with Burn, a color I hadn't used. It's kind of a coppery color. It has a slight sheen to it. I put it all over my eyelid, and I really like the way the two colors play off of each other. Kind of a peachy coppery tone. And then one trick I do often, as you guys have probably seen, is just put a little lighter shimmery shade in the center of my eye. That was Reputation. And then I used Endgame, that matte brown color, to kind of just, like I said in my intro, lightly line my eyes. Sometimes just give it a very smudgy look without doing too much liner. And that's the final look. Okay, day 4, I wanted to try more of a cool tone look since I really do think this palette lends itself towards the warm side. So I started with Bribe. It's the matte kind of lighter cream shade. I put it all over my eyelid. I think it's lighter and brighter and a great base color versus Blur, which was more peachy. And then I used Bucked, which was the cooler matte shade, kind of one of the ones I've been using as a transition or a crease shade. I used it as both for this look. I didn't really do a deepening of the crease. I just used it all over as a transitional and crease shade. And then I went in with Distilled, which is it's a medium tone. I don't think it's warm or cool, and put it all over my eyelid. And then I hadn't really used Dreamweaver, so I tried to just put it on the center of my eye with my brush, and it wasn't working. So then I went in with my finger to really concentrate it and pack it on. And I was having a hard time really seeing the color payoff I wanted. I'd like to play with it again and see what I can get because I wasn't that happy with it. But this is the finished look, pretty simple. All right, so overall, I do like the Naked Reloaded palette. I don't think it's anything different than some of the other things I already have. The shades I have in the Naked 2 and the Naked 3 are all fit right in there. I have the Naked, what's this one called? Oh, Smoky, which I hardly ever use. But honestly, if I'm really looking at these, besides some of these deep dark shades in here, a lot of the stuff in this new Naked palette is covered from, you know, in the Smoky, in the Naked 2, in the Naked 3. They're all, I really didn't need to buy this palette. I like that it's not as big. It doesn't have a brush, which I'm totally cool with. I think it would be great just to throw in my bag and be nice to have when traveling. So I don't hate it. If you don't have a neutral palette and you want a new one, this is a great purchase. I think you can get a lot of looks out of it. I don't know if you need it though, but it's a nice palette. I like the looks I got. And that's it for this week. I'm cleaning because I got to run out the door. My son has his baseball game and we've got a very busy day, so I'm trying to get this in at the last second. If you like my videos, I really hope that you will subscribe and stay with me on this makeup journey. And I'd love to know what other palettes you'd like to see. I have a whole bunch of palettes that I'd like to revisit. Maybe they're not the newest palette, but that you might have in your collection, because I have in my collection, and it would just be fun to see some 5 updated looks from them. So let me know what you'd like to see, and I hope you are having a fantastic week, and I will see you soon. Bye.